Hi, and welcome again to the Science of Spirit. This is Janice, and today we have another Bashar. These are excerpts from a couple of transmissions that I found from quite some time ago, actually, so I don't know, once again, what the actual transmissions were from, and they're actually from two different ones. So the one he is talking about good, and then the other one he's talking about evil. And he kind of goes into the mechanics of what those are and why they are in people, especially the evil part. So I thought that I would put them together in one podcast so that it made a little bit of sense, so that there was some context. So here we go. And these were actually questions from the audience.
This part is on evil.
First of all, again, the concept of evil is quite subjective. We prefer the idea of negative energy, and that simply is a mechanical description of what is being done. Positive energy, which integrates, binds, and unifies and makes whole. Negative energy divides and separates, diversifies in that sense, and breaks apart. Thus, doesn't allow communication to occur in a harmonious way, but is discordant, jarring, jagged, and rough. This is a description of the actual energy involved in terms of what you are actually calling evil. The only reason one would choose to exhibit that kind of behavior, as we have said, is that they have been subjected to it somewhere along the line, and have been taught that the only way to communicate, that's the only way to relate to all that is. They are in fear, deep, deep fear, and they feel powerless. Disconnected from spirit, and in the feeling of powerlessness and experiencing the idea of powerlessness, isn't that they are powerless, but in experiencing the idea of powerlessness, they resort to the only thing they have at hand: physical control and domination. They feel they are losing control, losing their grip, they're dying. They feel like they are dying. And they are afraid to die alone, so they will take as many people as they can. And if that means, in the only way you know how, negative behavior and negative action, you will lash out and you will do that. It is an attempt to reconnect, but in the only way they've been taught how, negatively. That's what domination is, an attempt to reconnect with no positive tools. They don't know how. They only have negative tools, and that's how they were brought up. But it's still an attempt to reconnect. If you can understand that and find that space in the being that can be reached, that can be loved unconditionally, that can be shown that they are as valid a piece of creation as anyone, then maybe they will be willing to let go of the fear, let go of the need for domination, and transform themselves from negative to positive. As you would say in your colloquial language, and they will give up the job of being evil because it is not any longer necessary. Here's the secret that many people don't understand. When they feel they're powerless and are trying to dominate in order to gain a sense of power, the issue really is that that's simply an expression of powerlessness. The greatest power requires the lightest touch. If you truly have power, you hardly have to do anything to make things happen. The people that have to strain at it, force others, dominate others, are actually saying, I have no power at all. So I have to force everything to work rather than allowing it to work, which it already does. Allowance is the key. Unconditional love is the key, and teaching them that they are powerful aspects of creation, so they don't have to be in fear, in terror, or feel disconnected, and thus feel like the only way they can reconnect is to dominate everything in their reach. Does that make some sense? Yes. Okay, thank you. Question. How can one work on love unconditionally? I am guessing that you and your society may have loved unconditionally at one time because you used the word unconditional in a specific way. Answer. Yes, in the past, we had many similar ideas to what your society is going through. Not entirely focused. There was a time of conditionality in the idea of our love, and now in that sense it is unconditional. The idea of the unconditional love is simply that, once again, love is light. Light is love. Love is the prime chord, the prime frequency of creation itself. In a sense, you can literally say everything is made of love, of light. It is the same thing. It is the substantial supporting medium of existence itself. It is the very fabric of God. That's what love is. That's why when you are aligned with it, you are pulsing in synchronized harmony with the prime fundamental oneness of existence. That's what that vibration is. Complete and utter alignment, unity, synchronicity, and harmony. The idea is simply to allow yourself more opportunity to experience love unconditionally. Start to perceive the infinite trust, the infinite conviction that you have always used to create your reality, whether it is positive or negative. That when we talk about using trust, using unconditional love, and using conviction in its total form, we are not talking about something that you have never done. We aren't talking about something that you have to learn to do. All of you have always expressed infinite trust, ultimate conviction in the creation of your reality. It is simply a matter of whether you trust more in the negative or positive side. So, the idea of having a completely positive life in manifestation is simply your choice of buying into positive definitions or the negative definitions. It's up to you. Unconditional love can come when you understand that if you have the choice, the conscious choice, then choose only the positive definition. Then therefore, only experience manifestation. Then what would, in your reality, would be worthy of placing any condition on? What would you want to place conditions on? What would you want to control in the externalized fashion? What would you not trust as being part of the unfoldment of your life? The idea is to open to trust in a positive sense. If you know that everything that is happening in your life is serving a positive reason, then you will learn from it in a positive way. Then why not be unconditional about it? The only reason anyone would place a condition on something is because they didn't trust that it belongs in their life. There are no extraneous conditions. There are no interruptions. If there is something happening in your life, then it is happening for a reason. Even if it is only to show you that there is something that you don't want to happen again. Even if it is to show you that you may have a belief that spawned to begin with, that you may not want to perpetuate that belief any further. That can be used in a positive way. Your reality can be saying, look, here's the thing. Here is the result of what you have been taught to do. Like it? Yes? No? All right, you decide, and then we'll change. So be unconditional in that sense of knowing that you can learn from everything in a positive way. And if you do choose that you are a positive-oriented person, then even if another individual with the negative intentions seeks to interact with you, you, by being a positive filtration system, no matter what their action, will only experience positive results from their action. So you can afford to be unconditionally loving to even individuals who have chosen to operate outside of integrity. Because the only reason individuals choose to operate outside of integrity is because they have not been taught that they are in control of their life and they are scared to death. Because they do not feel that they are in control, they feel they are out of control, they feel themselves sinking. And what an individual does when they feel that is try to take as many people with them as they can because they don't want to be alone. So, the idea is that the more willing you are to express unconditional love to everyone, the easier it is for you to shine, to be a living example of an absolutely positive life. That would at least give them the best opportunity by seeing that living example reflected from you, to choose to match your vibration and become a positive example themselves. Not that they have to, because everyone has free will, but simply, if you radiate that frequency, then no matter what they choose, will only leave you a positive effect. If they choose to match your frequency, then there will be more positive energy within your surroundings. If they choose to not match your frequency, then they will not be able to stand in the light and they will go on their way, and then you will still be left with the positive atmosphere. So I think he really gives a good explanation of something I've really kind of been wondering about, that emotions do have a positive and negative energy. It's not a matter of if you think something is good or bad. It's an actual energy that's there that then, as you can see, could be translated into actual mechanical usage of energy. So if everything starts with thoughts and consciousness, then it stands to reason that it's kind of the basis of how life works. I think it's kind of interesting because if you apply this to muscle testing, which I have talked about before, when you state or think the word yes, the muscle remains strong. If you state or think the word no, the muscle goes weak. And it's not really known why that happens. Because if you're doing muscle testing, you can blank your mind and the subconscious will still do a yes or no answer. For example, if you're asking, my name is Janice, and I'm not consciously thinking, yes it is, I will still get a positive answer. Now, I could override that consciously and say, no. I'd really have to be thinking no, and that would muddy the whole thing up. So this works. So muscle testing works based on a weakness of the muscle with a negative belief or thought. And the opposite, it's strong with a positive belief. So it would seem that there is inherently a weakness with negative beliefs and thoughts, an actual mechanical weakness. Because you're not allowing the true power of love in, you're blocking it. So it'd be like running out of gasoline in the car because something was blocking the gas flow. It doesn't mean that the car doesn't have the potential to run very well, but if the gas is being blocked, then it's not going to be functioning very well. So I guess you could say that resistance is negativity, and it's a not allowing the flow of God or love in, thus reducing your power. Now, I'm always trying to tie in the electricity and magnetism and that kind of thing into all this consciousness stuff too. And I think there is a direct relationship Because if you look at electrical devices, they are, it's always a matter of trying to keep them from overheating due to resistance, if you want to call it that. But there may be other ways of running our devices that aren't based on resistance. So that's something to think about. I think magnetism is more in keeping with that, but there may be something else as well. There may be a natural pulse that can be tapped into. Something to think about. So, thank you once again for listening to The Science of Spirit. If you enjoy this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. But we are also available on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and Spotify. Thank you for listening and have a great week.